will bank a lot of money if you're successful. But there's this thing that people have where they see a guy like Floyd Mayweather and they say, well, hey, boxers make millions of dollars. Look, Floyd Mayweather made hundreds of millions of dollars. No. But guarantee you, he ain't making very good money.
That was kind of bothersome. My only question to him would be, where's your soul? It is true.
In a shocking development, two of the most prominent voices in sports and media, podcaster Joe Rogan and ESPN commentator StephenASmith, have reportedly accused boxing icon Floyd Mayweather Jr. of orchestrating a massive $42 million fraud scheme. The allegations claim that the undefeated former champion manipulated public perceptions of his wealth while secretly hiding assets through offshore entities. According to Rogan, a deep financial investigation uncovered that Mayweather funneled millions of dollars through a network of shell companies based in the Caribbean and British Virgin Islands. These offshore structures were allegedly used to divert fight purses, endorsement payments, and licensing revenue, effectively bypassing tax obligations and legitimate stakeholders. StephenASmith has echoed these explosive claims, citing what he describes as recently unsealed court documents that allegedly identify Mayweather as the architect behind a complex scheme to obscure the origin and destination of large financial transactions. The scheme reportedly defrauded promoters, investors, and even individuals within Mayweather's own inner circle. Rogan points to a cache of bank statements and corporate records indicating that over the past decade, nearly $500 million were routed through a maze of trusts and LLCs registered in jurisdictions with minimal financial transparency. These entities are said to have acquired high-end real estate in Miami and Beverly Hills under aliases, further masking ownership and enabling the silent transfer of earnings from his most lucrative bouts. Furthermore, Rogan claims that several private equity firms, who had guaranteed Mayweather massive payouts for his headline events, often marketed as $100 million fights, later discovered through audits that only a fraction of the expected revenue actually reached official distributors like theaters and pay-per-view networks. The rest, it is alleged, was siphoned into hidden offshore accounts. If proven true, these revelations could significantly tarnish Mayweather's carefully crafted image as a self-made financial mogul and force a re-evaluation of his business dealings over the past decade.
Nothing after not reading the SEC settlement. So maybe that's why he tells us we can't lose by betting on him. So let's put that to the test with his last 3 NFT projects.
I'm dropping my NFT tonight. FloydNFT.com, August 10th. Go get it right now. Matter of fact, don't even wait till August 10th. Get it now. My NFT. Own a piece of my legacy. Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm not just in 30% or 40%, full 100%. I'm behind you. I'm all the way in.
Now, Floyd's World was indeed a huge success for Floyd Mayweather, who raked in $4.9 million. But what happened to his fans? Well, they're furious because the price of this NFT has collapsed over 90%, and they angrily responded in the comment section, "You already have an NFT project. It's called @RealFloydNFT."
StephenASmith, for his part, has zeroed in on alleged communications between Mayweather and top executives at leading pay-per-view networks. In these exchanges, Mayweather is said to have directed his financial team to underreport official gate revenues by up to 30%, even as he publicly boasted of selling out arenas and generating over $20 million per night. Smith contends that these deliberate understatements allowed Mayweather to reduce his taxable income and dodge revenue-sharing obligations owed to promoters such as Golden Boy Promotions and Showtime. In a more startling claim, Smith alleges that Mayweather exploited his image as a financial juggernaut to negotiate sovereign immunity clauses into his fight contracts. These clauses, typically used by foreign governments, were reportedly intended to shield portions of his wealth from lawsuits and creditors, even in cases involving unpaid fees or breach of contract claims brought by former sparring partners, choreographers, or other associates. While neither Rogan nor Smith has released full excerpts from the alleged court filings, both maintain that the documents were shared by credible insiders within federal investigative agencies. Their shared conclusion is damning. Mayweather's empire, famously branded the Money Team, may be less the product of legitimate earnings and more a precarious financial construct designed to deceive. They argue that the alleged $42 million in fraud represents just the tip of the iceberg, only the portion of activity flagged by overseas financial intelligence units. According to their sources, U.S. authorities are currently reviewing an additional $150 million in questionable cash flows, suggesting that the full extent of Mayweather's financial maneuvering could be far greater than initially believed.
Ever. All right. Now, Floyd Mayweather Jr., there's a story circulating that Business Insider did talking about this $400 million property deal that he had been discussing here in New York City. But now, according to Business Insider, it's not what you think it is. They said there's no evidence there's been a sale of these properties. And it's 62 rental apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan. Here is what Floyd Mayweather had said at the time on a video that he posted on his Instagram.
I love bringing the people into my lifestyle, showing the people how I live. Now, I know you guys see me on a regular talking about real estate. Well, lately, I purchased 62 apartment buildings in New York City. And what I need you guys to do, slide over and check out the photos. It's not all 62 buildings, it's a few buildings, but guess what? All the buildings belong to me. I don't have no partners. And all the retail down low on my buildings all belong to me. Guess what? You can do the same.
All right. Well, now we're trying to figure out what happened, right, with Business Insider. So according to another update, he did ink a $402 million deal for a Black Spruce portfolio. When he said that it was all his and no one invested, he meant no one was funding his part of the investment but him. And so I think this is something where maybe he owns a piece of this or shares in it, but it hasn't changed hands because the majority owner is still the same owner that it was before. I'm trying to understand what happened with this, but I know there's a story that's circulating, so just putting it out there. Whew, it's a tough one. I'm trying to understand as a real estate person myself what exactly he is communicating when he's saying that he owns this, because they're trying to make it seem like he doesn't, but what it seems like is that he owns shares of these buildings.
When comparing these explosive allegations to the documented facts, only one confirmed case involving Floyd Mayweather's post-boxing financial conduct stands out: his 2018 settlement with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. In that instance, Mayweather was penalized for failing to disclose a $100,000 payment from Centratec in exchange for promoting its initial coin offering, ICO, as well as additional payments from two other ICOs. The SEC imposed a total of $614,775 in disgorgement and penalties, along with a 3-year ban on promoting securities. Importantly, that case was a civil enforcement action focused on disclosure violations, not the sweeping, criminal-level fraud now being alleged by Joe Rogan and StephenASmith. The 2018 SEC ruling made no mention of offshore shell corporations or misappropriated fight purses. Instead, it centered on Mayweather's failure to transparently disclose his compensation for endorsing a now-defunct cryptocurrency project. Further complicating matters, the co-founders of Centratec were later indicted by federal prosecutors in New York for securities and wire fraud after raising over $25 million through false claims of partnerships with Visa and MasterCard, claims that Mayweather's promotional posts had inadvertently supported. Though the co-founders were ultimately convicted and sentenced to prison, Mayweather himself was never criminally charged and cooperated by agreeing to financial penalties and a promotional ban. This context highlights a stark contrast between a regulatory misstep and the criminal conspiracy Rogan and Smith are now describing. Rogan has also challenged long-held assumptions about Mayweather's reported net worth. While Forbes has repeatedly estimated his fortune at around $400 million, Rogan claims that internal bank statements tell a different story. According to the documents he reviewed, Mayweather's liquid cash holdings have never approached that figure. Instead, Rogan says the majority of Mayweather's wealth is locked away in trust accounts, structures designed to restrict access, protect assets from litigation, and impose penalties for premature withdrawal. These trusts, Rogan alleges, are controlled by a select group of attorneys and accountants within Mayweather's private circle, effectively shielding the true scope and accessibility of his fortune. The result, he argues, is a financial empire that may be far more fragile and far less transparent than the lavish image Mayweather has spent years cultivating. Credibility to the claims, even if formal charges have yet to be filed. According to Rogan, these forensic accountants, some of whom allegedly worked on major federal investigations, have traced patterns in Mayweather's financial dealings that mirror known fraud schemes. Whistleblowers, described as former associates and financial staff within Mayweather's orbit, have reportedly corroborated the use of offshore accounts, shell entities, and contracts designed to obscure the true movement of funds. StephenASmith has been even more direct in his characterization, labeling Mayweather's financial disclosures as creative accounting at its worst. He compared the tactics to those once used by Enron executives, who infamously manipulated energy markets and corporate valuations through opaque structures and off-the-books liabilities. Smith points to endorsement deals, supposedly worth tens of millions, that, on paper, appear as generic fee-for-service contracts with no identifiable end client. Such arrangements, he suggests, are classic hallmarks of fund shifting rather than legitimate commercial partnerships. Naturally, these allegations raise the obvious question: if the fraud is real, why hasn't Mayweather been charged? Rogan and Smith propose two main reasons. First, they claim Mayweather's legal team has quietly negotiated a form of preemptive immunity with federal prosecutors in exchange for providing intelligence on other targets, an arrangement not uncommon in white-collar investigations. Second, they argue that the sheer complexity of untangling decades of cross-border financial maneuvers has delayed any prosecutorial action, even in the face of what they describe as clear and mounting evidence. Adding to the intrigue, they cite an unnamed source within the Department of Justice who allegedly confirmed that a federal indictment was drafted and ready as early as last summer, only to be shelved due to political considerations, namely, Mayweather's celebrity status and potential backlash from prosecuting a cultural icon. However, critics of the Rogan-Smith narrative are quick to push back. They note that neither commentator possesses legal or forensic accounting credentials, and that much of the evidence cited, whether podcast soundbites or primetime TV segments, is inherently speculative and not legally binding. To date, no court has validated the existence of a $42 million fraud scheme tied to Mayweather, and skeptics caution against conflating media commentary with judicial findings. Still, Rogan insists the presence of multiple corroborating experts and insider testimony lends significant weight to the accusations. Whether that's enough to spur official charges, or simply fuel public speculation, remains to be seen. Lawsuits in the U.S., to accusations of bounced checks and unmet obligations tied to promotional appearances and exhibition fights. Gervonta Davis, a rising boxing star and outspoken critic of Mayweather's business practices, has suggested that Mayweather's brand is more smoke and mirrors than solid financial footing. Rick Glazer, a respected voice in international boxing circles, has echoed similar concerns, claiming that rumors of Mayweather's liquidity issues have circulated for years among insiders. Glazer has even gone so far as to question whether Mayweather's lavish public displays of wealth, private jets, luxury cars, and diamond-encrusted watches, are backed by actual financial stability or simply a facade maintained to uphold his market value. Rapper 50 Cent, a former close associate turned vocal adversary, has repeatedly called Mayweather's wealth into question. In multiple interviews and social media posts, he has accused the boxing legend of living beyond his means and dodging financial obligations through technicalities and legal loopholes. Even Conor McGregor, Mayweather's opponent in their 2017 mega fight, has publicly mocked Mayweather's financial state, hinting that his return to exhibition bouts in Japan, the UAE, and elsewhere is motivated more by necessity than by choice. Logan Paul, who fought Mayweather in an exhibition match in 2021, has taken things a step further, publicly accusing Mayweather of failing to pay him in full and threatening legal action if the debt isn't resolved. Together, these voices, some credible, others controversial, paint a picture of mounting scrutiny around the finances of a man once celebrated as the undisputed king of prize-fighting paydays. Ultimately, while Joe Rogan and StephenASmith have presented a highly detailed and provocative case, their claims remain unproven in a court of law. What they've undoubtedly done, however, is reignite public interest in the shadowy intersection between fame, fortune, and financial ethics in the world of elite athletes. Whether Mayweather is exposed as the mastermind of an elaborate fraud or exonerated as a victim of envy and misinformation may depend on the willingness of regulators, prosecutors, and financial watchdogs to dig deeper, and for the facts, not the fame, to lead the way. Has reignited criticism, alleging in interviews and on social media that Mayweather is deeply in debt, living paycheck to paycheck despite the extravagant lifestyle he flaunts online. He acts like he's got it all, 50 Cent said in a 2023 interview, but when the cameras turn off, it's all loans and promises. According to 50, Mayweather not only defaulted on the $2 million fronted to jumpstart the Money Team promotions but also regularly delays payments to associates and employees. Adding fuel to the fire, reports have surfaced of promissory notes tied to private loans, liens placed by the IRS, and even failed gambling wagers in Las Vegas casinos, painting a jarring disconnect between Mayweather's image as a billionaire playboy and the reality of navigating complex financial obligations across multiple countries. Gervonta Davis, once considered Mayweather's heir apparent, has taken public jabs at his former mentor, particularly in a viral Instagram post where he accused Mayweather of being stuck in Dubai. Davis claimed Mayweather borrowed money from locals and failed to follow through on commitments, saying he'd been taking people's money and not doing what they paid him to do. He later doubled down on X, formerly Twitter, demanding Mayweather go live if it ain't true and urging him to pay them people that money back. Rick Glazer, a seasoned boxing insider and Hall of Fame elector, amplified the claims, tweeting that reliable sources in Dubai confirmed Mayweather's legal entanglement. According to Glazer, he's definitely being held up by the Dubai government court system. Over there, debt is a serious offense. They don't play about it. Even Conor McGregor joined the chorus, using a 2017 press conference to mock Mayweather's financial woes, stating that a large chunk of Mayweather's nine-figure McGregor payday was already spoken for, specifically pointing to a federal tax lien filed in April 2017. That lien showed Mayweather owed $22.2 million in unpaid taxes for the 2015 tax year. Court records revealed that Mayweather had petitioned to delay payment until after the fight, a request the IRS initially resisted. All of these allegations, from unpaid personal debts and failed business partnerships to overdue taxes and shady financial dealings, raise questions about whether Mayweather's empire is truly built on sustainable wealth or simply on reputation, illusion, and a carefully choreographed display of riches. In light of Joe Rogan and StephenASmith's recent exposé, the growing chorus of insiders and former associates speaking out creates a troubling mosaic. Whether this culminates in legal action or simply remains a cloud of speculation, one thing is certain. The story of Floyd Mayweather is no longer just about what happened inside the ring, but what's being uncovered far beyond it. Publicly backed Dave assessed Dubai debt allegations on Instagram, writing, "I got some money if he needs it." A remark both supportive and insinuating that Mayweather's financial woes are real. YouTuber-turned-boxer Logan Paul announced his intention to sue Mayweather in early 2024. Sweet at the Super Bowl, "I had to take care of some business with Uncle Sam," Mayweather reportedly joked to a friend, according to someone close to his camp. That light tax bill, estimated at around $18 million, underscores the persistent financial undercurrent swirling beneath Mayweather's high-rolling lifestyle. While his 2024 Super Bowl weekend was filled with ostentatious displays, hauling bags of cash from the bank, luxury shopping sprees at Louis Vuitton, and flaunting a portion of a watch collection reportedly worth $100 million, the financial backdrop is far more complex. Despite the endless reels of cash counting and private jet travel, federal tax liens and unsettled exhibition earnings continue to surface. Logan Paul, who fought Mayweather in their June 2021 exhibition, has claimed that $5 million remains unpaid, putting further pressure on the credibility of Mayweather Promotions. Showtime, which broadcasted the bout, distanced itself from the dispute, clarifying that it had paid its contractual obligation in full, suggesting the issue lies within Mayweather's own company. Digging deeper, federal court records show a long history of tax-related issues. Since 2001, Mayweather has faced over $26 million in IRS liens across multiple years, including the $22.2 million lien tied to the 2015 tax year alone. In legal filings, Mayweather argued that while he possessed significant assets, much of his wealth was non-liquid, locked up in fight purses, endorsement deals, and long-term investments, making it difficult to meet sudden financial obligations. Adding another layer of intrigue, Mayweather has openly admitted to trying to bet $400,000 on himself before the 2017 bout against Conor McGregor. Though ultimately denied due to regulatory restrictions, the attempt showcased his comfort with ultra-high-stakes wagering, and the complications that arise when athletes try to mix business with betting. Mayweather's social media persona, rich with declarations of independence, wealth, and control, remains carefully curated. "I don't kiss, and I never have to beg for nothing," he posted alongside photos of his $1.13 million suite at Allegiant Stadium for the 2024 Super Bowl. "I don't mind accepting invites at times, but one thing's for sure, the person that's paying does all the saying. Therefore, I get my own seats and suites so I can do what I want and invite who I want." Despite the confidence and flash, the reality behind the scenes, unpaid debts, lingering lawsuits, and towering tax obligations, suggests a very different financial picture. While Mayweather continues to project the image of invincibility, both inside and outside the ring, mounting reports from credible insiders, legal filings, and former business partners cast a growing shadow over the legend of Money Mayweather. As Rogan, Smith, and a chorus of past allies turned critics continue to peel back the layers, the question remains, is this simply the cost of living a billionaire lifestyle, or the unraveling of one of sport's most elaborate financial facades? Floyd Mayweather didn't blink when he revealed on Instagram that he had just paid $18,047,181 to the IRS. "This is what I owed in taxes while I'm retired," he wrote. "So just imagine what I was paying when I was activated." True to form, the Vegas-based boxing icon wasn't about to let Uncle Sam ruin his Super Bowl weekend. Not only did Mayweather spend $1.13 million on a luxury suite at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, He also managed to recoup a portion of the cost with a $95,000 wager on the Kansas City Chiefs, earning a $23,000 profit after their overtime win. That bet came on the heels of a $10,000 loss in 2023, when he backed the Philadelphia Eagles, only for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to snatch the victory. But behind the flashy headlines, there's another tax story brewing. New records show Mayweather chose not to contest a separate IRS assessment for the 2017 tax year, totaling more than $6.7 million. The breakdown? A $5,549,675 tax deficiency, plus a $1,199,935 accuracy-related penalty. While that kind of hit would be life-altering for most people, Mayweather's team treated it as a routine cost of doing business. The IRS wrapped up its audit of Mayweather's 2017 return with a statutory notice of deficiency, SOD, issued on February 2, 2022. He had until May 3, 2022 to file a petition with the U.S. tax court, but none was filed, meaning the assessment became final. The core issue? The IRS disallowed a $14,142,220 legal expense deduction claimed through one of Mayweather's S corporations. Unfortunately, the audit documents are redacted, so the exact nature of those legal fees, or why the deduction was denied, remains a mystery. Also missing from the file is any detail about Mayweather's original taxable income, or how the $5.5 million increase in taxes was calculated. What's clear is that Floyd Money Mayweather continues to operate on a financial scale few can imagine. Yet while his lifestyle is all flash, the paperwork reveals a more complicated picture. One where IRS audits, multimillion-dollar settlements, and redacted legal maneuvers are just part of the game.
Executing these scams are like anon people hiding behind a Pepe avatar. And of course, there's a laundry list of famous influencers, Logan Paul, Kim Kardashian's, David Dobrik, that have all endorsed these absolute shitcoin scam casino rugs that leaves their investors high and dry because they paid them a bunch of money up front and maybe they didn't know any better because it's such a nascent space. But I am just flabbergasted that the highest paid boxer, one of the most famous people on the planet, Floyd Mayweather, has managed to become a repeat offender as a scam artist. Now, everybody knows Floyd's an opportunist. He's an entrepreneur. He likes to make money. He always has money, talks about money. That's his shtick. That's his persona. That's fine. You can make money. You can be a hustler. You can get paid a bunch to box, do whatever you want.
Floyd Mayweather files tax petition with U.S. tax court after IRS disallows $5.5 million deduction. Floyd Mayweather cut it close when filing his petition with the U.S. tax court. The petition was dated April 27, 2022, and reached the court by May 2, 2022, leaving just a narrow window before the deadline. The petition itself is straightforward. Mayweather contests the IRS's assessment of a $5,549,675 tax deficiency, which resulted from the disallowance of a business deduction for expenses claimed in the 2017 tax year. Mayweather is asking the court for a redetermination, asserting that the expenses were ordinary and necessary business costs. Additionally, Mayweather contests the $1,199,935 accuracy-related penalty under Section 6662A, requesting the court to reconsider and potentially abate the penalty. Attached to the petition, Mayweather's legal team elaborates on the disallowed deduction. They argue that the expenses, which stemmed from multi-year business litigation, should qualify as ordinary and necessary business expenses under IRC Section 162A. In other words, the costs were directly related to his business operations, and he believes they should be allowed as deductions. Further documents in the case show that Floyd Mayweather is listed with the docket number 1:035322, filed on November 1, 2023. In the meantime, Showtime, the company responsible for Mayweather's June 2021 exhibition against Logan Paul, has distanced itself from the issue. Mayweather had previously claimed that pay-per-view issues had hindered his ability to fully compensate Paul, but Showtime seems to be stepping back from any involvement in the matter.
In 36 months, with one of my new investments, I would be making $300 million a month.
What investment is that?
In real estate. I'm heavy in real estate, even though I got a lot of cash. OPM. You don't always have to use your money. That's why it's very important for y'all to make sure y'all keep your credit right.
Stephen Espinoza clarifies Showtime's role in Mayweather-Paul payment dispute. Mayweather threatens legal action. Stephen Espinoza, the president of Showtime Sports, recently clarified that Showtime had already paid Mayweather Promotions in full for the June 2021 exhibition match between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. Espinoza confirmed that it is now up to Mayweather Promotions to distribute the funds between the two boxers. He explained, "We haven't really gotten in the way. Our deal is with Mayweather Promotions, and they are responsible for the distribution. We don't have separate agreements with each boxer. Espinoza acknowledged there were some delays in the payment from the pay-per-view revenue but stressed, there's a significant chunk of money involved, so I'd be surprised if there were any confusion. It's just a matter of how long it takes for the funds to be processed. Despite Espinoza's comments, Mayweather has taken a more aggressive stance in the matter. He has reportedly warned Logan Paul of legal action for an outstanding $3 million debt related to the fight. He hasn't paid me yet, Mayweather said, it's too late to negotiate. This is settled in court. He further threatened to take the matter to court, even suggesting he could have Paul put in jail if the debt is not settled. Meanwhile, ESPN analyst StephenASmith weighed in on the broader impact of Mayweather's image on the younger generation. Smith pointed out that, for many today's athletes, Mayweather is not idolized for his boxing achievements but for his wealth. He added that young athletes often mimic Mayweather's confidence, showmanship, and persona, rather than his discipline or commitment to the sport of boxing.
They sold for millions of dollars. I know a dude who he got rich. He was an artist.
Yeah, but
he got
then,
rich selling NFTs. Yeah. In the beginning when everyone was like frothy with it. This thing is like a shit cartoon. And how much did they go for?
I think it's Ether. So 111 Ether would be the price. That's 3,000 a coin right now. So it'd be 300 grand.
300 grand.
It said it was sold at 769.
But you could just screenshot it.
So it was sold at 769. So it's sold at close to $1 million.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to Knockout Chronicles for more updates and insights.